There we go. How's that for an intro? That'll get your that'll get your blood pumping early in the morning, Carson?
Yeah, no kidding. That was awesome.
Right? Yes. Hello everybody. Hello baseball fans. Good morning. Welcome to our first ever YouTube live stream. By the way, as an added bonus, we're streaming on YouTube. We're also streaming on we're also streaming on our Twitter X. We really got to come up with a new name for that. It's not Twitter. It's not X. It's Zitter. The Zitter. Does that work?
Zitter. I
Zitter.
love it.
Yeah. Anyways, we're live streaming there also. So if you want to tune in there, feel free. Yeah. So here we are. I hope hopefully all of you are as impressed with the graphics as we are. Man, but dude, this looks so cool.
Yeah, this is crazy cool. We told you guys that season 3 was going to be our biggest and best, so here's the start.
Yeah, here we go. Yes, season 3, unbelievable. Just mind blowing to think that we're starting our third season. Yes, it is going to be our biggest and best. This is the start of it. We have some really cool stuff in store for you guys. Some stuff we'll be able to tell you about today. Some stuff will be, more info as we go. In the meantime, Carson, if I may for a moment, I would like to, in honor of the official return of baseball today, because spring training games start today, everybody. Yes, applause, applause, applause. I would like to, if I may, for a moment, commemorate the occasion with the following. I'm sorry if I don't do this justice as the legendary gentleman who did it before me, but I shall do my best. People will come, Ray. They'll come to Iowa for reasons they can't even fathom. They'll turn up your driveway not knowing for sure why they're doing it. They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past. Of course we won't mind if you look around, you'll say. It's only $20 per person. They'll pass over the money without even thinking about it, for it's money they have and peace they lack. And they'll walk out to the bleachers, sit in shirt sleeves on a perfect afternoon. They'll find they have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines, where they sat when they were children and cheered their heroes. And they'll watch the game, and it'll be as if they dipped themselves in magic waters. The memories will be so thick, they'll have to brush them away from their faces. The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It has been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt, and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, it's part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that was once good, and that could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
Chills every time.
I know, right? Chills, man. Chills. Whew. Feel all tingly all over. That of course, obviously, is the uh like I said, the legendary speech from Field of Dreams, um, as recited by uh the great James Earl Jones. And then of course, Carson, a few years ago, um, I think it was the late great Vin Scully did his own rendition of it.
He did indeed, and as good as the original version is, having Vin Scully be someone who, as a aspiring broadcaster myself, I idolized that one. That
Mm,
one gets me almost, especially now that he's no longer with us. That one gets me tearing up a little bit.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, I think that was not. I think he did that not long before he passed. I'm pretty sure it was after he retired.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, something like that. So, anyways, as you can all also see, we have these. I've, I got to tell you, everybody, I had way too much fun with these graphics and these banners. So you'll see those pop up periodically during the show. The banners at the bottom of the screen there. Um, and this is just awesome. Of course, I would be remiss not to mention and not to give the biggest of shout outs. Well, first of all, Carson, I think some applause are in order for the triumphant return of our producer extraordinaire, Miss Tasha. Yes.
Absolutely, very. We are, and I think we can speak on behalf of Tasha, but we are very excited to have her back, back with the show. And as we keep growing, I know that both of us are going to rely on kind of her producing expertise. So we are very excited to have her back in the fold for season 3 with all of these new changes and everything. So it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, you guys, she's pretty much, aside from being a amazing, wonderful person, um, she's she's pretty much the best. She's the best producer in the history of people producing things.
Which that says a lot because there have been a lot of people in history who have produced things.
I know, right? There have been some legendary producers, everybody. Oh, this is cool. I was actually just checking the um yes, there have been a lot of great producers. I was just checking out what the live stream looks on over there on Zitter. It actually looks pretty cool. Okay, yeah. So that this is the first time either one of us have done anything like this. But no, seriously, yeah, it's as we take as we get into our third season and try to, I mean, really just pull out all the stops for you guys. Having somebody with her expertise on the team is, I mean, it you can't quantify it. You really can't. So and so what I was my second point that I was getting to is I would like to also give the biggest of shout outs to her for helping us and helping me design the graphics, design the banners, um promotional stuff, fine tuning our, fine tuning the website, which is Eighth Inning Pod, by the way. Fine tuning our social media, mostly Zitter, because that seems to be, where most of you guys engage with us, which is cool. So yeah, to say that she's been instrumental in all this, is the understatement of the century here. So, um, Yeah, so that kind of highlights. So the new website, eighthinningpod.com, is I'm just trying to run through the mental. We've made a lot of changes. Um, Obviously the YouTube, the live streaming to YouTube, and the YouTube channel is new. That's of course youtube.com/eighthinningpod. Um, the website eighthinningpod.com. Boy, there's been a lot. I feel like I'm forgetting stuff.
Yeah, um there's been a lot of changes in case you guys haven't gotten that already, but
Guess you didn't get the
um
memo.
yeah, but again, all of these different, changes and the fact that we're able to be live on YouTube and stuff now is all thanks to you guys. Whether you're tuning in for a little period of time today, whether you're watching it on demand, it's all because you guys stick around, you guys tune in, and again, we have the best fans in the world.
Yeah, well said, Ben. Yeah, I mean, we'll think of stuff as we go. So yeah, unless you're tuning in for the first time or you're a regular listener, welcome back. Either way. Uh,
Uh oh. So AJ, I don't know if you can hear me, but I cannot hear you anymore. All right, everybody, stand by. It appears we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, which is what can happen when you're trying a new system out for the first time. So just bear with us here, and
I'm back. Can
we've
everyone hear
got
me?
AJ back. We've
I'm
got
back.
AJ back. All right.
Um, that was not uh that was not stream. That was not our platform. That was my internet decided to hiccup over here. So that's fun. Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh yeah. So um yeah, a lot of times we'll do sort of, um, shout outs and stuff at the beginning of the show. One of them kind of a somber anniversary. I saw this yesterday. It's believe it or not, it's been 5 years, 2019, since we lost legendary Boston Globe um columnist who worked the Red Sox beat for years and years and years, Nick Cafardo.
Yeah, that's crazy. I remember them covering. It was pretty much national news when
Yeah,
that
it was
happened,
big.
and yeah, and obviously I'm gonna defer a little bit here to my Red Sox loving co-host, as I wasn't super familiar with his coverage, being a Twins fan over here in the cold lands of Minnesota. But um,
I
but I,
mean,
I rem-
oh, go ahead.
but no, I will. All I was gonna say is I remember seeing it on the news, and kind of crazy how much time flies and that it's been 5 years.
5 years. Yeah, seriously. No, I mean, I was gonna say, to be fair, uh, Nick Cafardo was covering the Red Sox before you were born, long before you were born. So, um, yeah, it's funny. Like some of the other, I don't know. I feel like some of the other Boston sports personalities got more national attention. I mean, obviously Jackie McMullen, everybody knows her. Dan Shaughnessy, that's a name. I feel like even out there in the wilds of Minnesota, you've heard. But Nick Cafardo, kind of an under the radar kind of sort of guy. But again, I mean, one of the best that the Globe ever had, one of the most knowledgeable baseball people pretty much ever. So, yeah, anyways, it's been 5 years, which is really hard to believe. So, anyways, and then well, speaking of Dan Shaughnessy, Carson, news came out the other day that, which I don't think any of us knew this was even going on. But Dan Shaughnessy is uh, resting at home with his family after undergoing heart surgery.
Yeah, obviously something that you never like hearing about. Um, but
Yeah,
obviously, hoping for a speedy recovery for Dan, and hoping
yep,
for some peace during what can certainly be uncertain time for the Shaughnessy family.
yeah, yeah. That came as quite a shock. Had no idea that anything was even going on there. So, um, anyways, yeah, of course, all the best to Dan and his family. Naturally. And yet more housekeeping. So, Carson, we've been talking about how season 3 is going to be our biggest and best season yet, yada yada yada, on and on and on. Well, here's some more proof, everybody. Um, so we've had, Carson, I think it's fair to say that we've sporadically had guests on in the past. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, sporadically is good. Every once in a while, we'll have Gabby will pop in from Lockdown Red Sox and Boston Bowling. We've had Alex from Bearman in Texas on a couple times. We almost had you know what, I don't even want to mention his name because it's just gonna make me mad. But we have two already lined up for this year. Something we'll, maybe try to do a little more of. Um, and the first is actually, Carson, in just a few days on our Sunday episode, when we are going to, in a quite literally historic appearance, his first ever international interview. His name is Sanye. Ch- I'm gonna butcher his name, and I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to. I've been the kicker is I've been practicing. His first name is Sanye. His last name is it's Sanye. It's Sanye. Yeah, we're just gonna go with that. Because I'm not gonna butcher the poor man's last name. But Carson Sanye is the vice president of the Bhutan Baseball and Softball Association, which, if however many of you remember, we talked about Bhutan baseball last season, Carson.
yeah. It was we had mentioned it, and there were some articles that were published on MLB.com, kind of talking a little bit about it. So definitely a very cool opportunity for us to kind of get to follow up with that story. Very excited to chat with him to see what he thinks of kind of the state of baseball in Bhutan, and
Mm.
kind of going forward what they foresee in the future. Very excited to have him on the show.
Yeah, so we talked about, I think it was in a one last thing. We talked about the initial article on MLB.com last year, which was about how, um, basically about Bhutan's, like, growing baseball culture and how baseball and softball had really caught on there. Um, and, how they were, sort of branching out into the international scene and into Major League Baseball and everything. And now, which we'll talk all about this with Sonia on Sunday, Carson, but now, uh, a double A, I think, as a double A affiliate of the Yankees, what is it? The Hudson Valley Renegades. I think I don't have it right in front of me right now. But the Hudson Valley Renegades are hosting a Bhutan baseball night with special jerseys that they're auctioning off, and as many players as they can get from Bhutan, baseball and softball players, are going to be coming to the States. They're going to be at the game. They're going to be doing training sessions and with the Renegade staff. They're visiting MLB headquarters in New York City. It's nuts. It's huge.
Yeah, absolutely huge for the overall success of baseball in Bhutan. Really cool to see that um, integration coming to the states, and the interview with Sangay, I'm very much looking forward to. Should be a
Yeah,
fun one. So make
it's
sure you
gonna be
guys
a
tune in.
it's gonna be a blast. You guys do seriously do not want to miss that. I've already chatted with Sonia. We had a really good conversation. A little bit ago, we had a WhatsApp call and just chatted. He's a cool dude. He's fun. He loves baseball. He'll fit in perfectly. You may notice, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to draw your attention to our banner down there at the bottom is scrolling, basically asking you guys to support the show. So, yeah, I think that is the one that's there. Sorry, I've got about a million banners over here on the right side of my screen that I can put up, and I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one I put up. But basically, everybody, we're not we're independent, no sponsors, no ads, no paywalls, no subscriptions, none of that stuff. We rely on your support and your generosity. So you can use the QR code up there in the right hand corner to donate whatever you can, guys. Every little bit helps. Uh, and basically, and some of you have been asking, what do you guys? And Carson, every little bit of support, it all goes back into the show. None of it goes to us. It all goes back in the show. It goes to covering costs like like our hosting service and this streaming platform. So stuff like that. Yeah. So you guys could just, if you should be able to just scan that QR code up in the top right corner, and obviously we appreciate that. All right. So yes, right. Yeah, so we were talking about Sonya and Carson. I almost forgot. Coming up a little while after Sonya, we're gonna have the one, the only, the radio voice of the Seattle Mariners, the great Dave Sims on the show.
Yes, and that one will also be fun. Not as much, simply because his team now has a player who I very much enjoyed over here in Minnesota. But I,
Uh-oh.
I won't hold that against him. But yes, very very much looking forward to having him on the show. And if you guys haven't heard his call of Mitch Haniger's RBI that sent the Mariners into the playoff, wait until after the show, but then go look that up because it will give you goosebumps. It's phenomenal.
And Cal Raleig's home run too.
Yes, that too.
Yeah, I mean this dude has a series of legendary calls, iconic calls. So, yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun. That we're excited for too, obviously. And we'll see if there's a little we'll see if there's a little saltiness from my co-host towards Mr. Sims and the Mariners. That ought to be interesting.
No, I would never disrespect a guest like that. Come on.
No, not disrespect, but just a little, yeah, congratulations on getting on getting Polanco. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, so that's stuff we got coming up for you. All right. And I feel like we've done a whole episode already with everything we've been talking about. But now now it's time to get down to the meat and the potatoes here. So let's
As we get into that, actually, AJ, it's not often on the show we have breaking news. Couple pieces of it, actually. Yes, we do.
What's going on?
So the Pittsburgh Pirates have agreed to a 5-year extension for $77 million with starting pitcher Mitch Keller.
Wow.
That is the first piece of breaking news.
Uh-huh.
The second out of the Bronx,
Red Sox signed Jordan Montgomery.
No.
Oh.
The second piece is actually out of the Bronx, and it's not so great news for Mets fans, as it appears that Kodai Senga will go on the IL due to a right shoulder strain.
No. Oh, man, the season hasn't even. We're not even into the regular season yet, and it's already started for Mets fans. Last year Edwin Diaz, this year Kodai Senga. Any word on how long Senga's gonna be out?
I'm taking a look at that now to see what this says. Our first live research of the season.
Yeah. Nice.
Let's see here. Looks like there currently is no timetable for his return,
That
according
sucks.
to Anthony DiComo via Zitter.
That,
Quote, the Mets plan to shut down Senga until his symptoms subside. They do not expect him to be ready for opening day, but an exact timetable is not currently clear.
man, that
President of baseball
sucks.
operations David Stern had also said that it is a moderate right posterior capsule strain in his shoulder.
Ew. Well, that doesn't sound good. Um, Mets fans, you guys can't catch a break. Yeah, it sucks. That really sucks. But I mean, here's hoping for a speedy recovery. When you said bad news out of New York, I thought you were gonna tell me that the Yankees had signed Blake Snell because that's been going around.
No, yeah, that's been going around. But speaking of signings, good
Mhm.
for Mitch Keller cashing in on a very good
Yeah,
season last year and sticking around
yeah.
in Pittsburgh.
Surprised the Pirates opened the checkbook for him like that. Um, not known for their spending. The Pirates, are they, Pirates fans? Um, no, but seriously. Yeah, crappy news for Mets fans, good news for Pirates fans. And well, I guess the Jordan Montgomery watch continues. So yeah, 2024. Um, as we debut one of our new banners here. So let's run through some of the highlights on the schedule for 2024. Carson, obviously opening day is March 28th. We all know that. But this is from MLB.com. They made this handy little list here. These are 9 highlights of the 2024 schedule. Obviously the biggest and maybe most notable thing um is so official opening day is March 28th, but a week before that, the Dodgers and Padres on March 20th and 21st will be playing will are going to make history, Carson, as the first MLB teams to play in South Korea when they play 2 games to open the season in Seoul.
Which is going to be so much fun. Obviously, that's another piece of this
Ah,
season is there's going to be a lot more international games, and
yes, there are.
um, it's going to be definitely something that's very exciting. And wow, we are getting all the breaking news apparently on this episode
The
because
Red
I
Sox
just got
signed
the
Montgomery.
no. Tim
Damn.
Anderson,
Oh,
formerly of the Chicago White
White
Sox,
Sox. Yeah,
has
sure.
signed a 1 year, $5 million deal with the Miami Marlins.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
I
I mean,
like
they
that a
had to.
lot.
I mean, they had to do something to replace Jorge Soler, I guess. Um, Still, that still baffles me. Yeah, good for Tim Anderson. I like that. I really do like that move for the Marlins. Um, yeah. So the Padres and Dodgers, they're gonna be playing in Seoul, which is, I mean, so cool. Um, the first ever MLB teams to play in Korea. And Carson, you mentioned that again. It was on March 20th and 21st. And of course, and you mentioned, Carson, that that's just the beginning of the international slate of games. So MLB is going extra international this year, which is they're calling this, the MLB World Tour or whatever. So we've got those games in South Korea. There will be games in Mexico City again, like last year. That's the Rockies and the Astros, April 27th and 28th. Games in London, again, part of the London series. That's going to be the Phillies and Mets, a little NL East rivalry. That's in June. But Carson, even before the regular season starts, my Red Sox and the Rays are going to be playing spring training games in Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic in March.
Yeah, very again, a hotbed of baseball down kind of in the Caribbean and Southern America, and a lot of players come to MLB from that region. So it'll be cool to potentially, who knows, maybe in the crowd will be the next MLB player of tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So baseball fans, make sure your passports are updated. Um, because MLB is going global this year. Um, yeah. So we've got the international games. Other highlights on the here in 2024 to look forward to. Some superstars returning to their old homes. Um, Among them, Francisco Lindor will be returning to Cleveland in May. Corey Seager is going back to Dodger Stadium in June. Xander Bogaerts will see his old pals with the Red Sox at Fenway in June also. And maybe, well, I don't know, maybe most exciting. Another, I don't know about most exciting because I think Bogarts coming back to Fenway is going to be, well, admittedly I'm biased, but and also last but not least, World Series hero and Cubs legend Anthony Rizzo, Carson, playing at Wrigley Field for the first time in September.
Yeah, break out the box of tissues for that one. That's definitely gonna be an emotional return, I think, for
For
Rizzo
Rizzo, yeah.
and for Cubs fans.
Yeah, that's gonna be, yeah, that's, yeah. You're gonna need a Costco size box of tissues for that one, I think. Um Yeah, and then let's see what else do we have here. Carlos Correa. Well, Carlos Correa almost changed teams about 20 times before last season. He is still a Minnesota Twin, Carson, but he was almost a Giant. He was almost a Met, and then ended up landing back with the Twins, which is, obviously a good thing for you and your fellow Twins fans. But uh in July, Correa is going to be playing at Oracle Park in front of Giants fans and at Citi Field in front of Mets fans. So he'll get a little taste of what life could have been for him, and I'm sure, well, maybe not so much in San Francisco, but definitely at Citi Field, Mets fans will not be shy about letting him know how they feel about how he was almost a Met.
Yeah, that should be some interesting reactions potentially, but I don't know, it'll be interesting cuz technically it was more so I think failed physicals that kind of
Yeah, yeah, that's
put the
true.
deal in jeopardy, so it
Yeah,
wasn't so much I don't think anything of Korea's doing, but
no,
then again, New York sports fans are ruthless, so we'll find out.
they're not. That's so. They're not ruthless. They're passionate. Come on. No, they're the difference. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, uh New York fans are right up there as the least bashful, the least shy fans around. So there's that. Uh Also, let's see, in June, Ellie De La Cruz, the Red superstar, will play for the first time at Coors Field. Um And Carson, I think it's fair to say that when Ellie De La Cruz comes to Coors Field, um, the Rockies should put out a warning to all nearby aircraft, satellites, and maybe even the moon, because Ellie De La Cruz is gonna just smash the ball out of Coors Field.
Yeah, note to anybody who has houses
I know, right?
potentially around Coors Field.
It's gonna be some
It's
broken
easy.
windows.
It's easy enough to hit a home run in that. So make sure you board up your windows or give them some extra security just to be safe, because there's a chance they might get smashed in a little bit.
Yeah, that's a I don't know how many of you have been to Coors Field and are familiar with the area, but Coors Field is situated pretty much right smack in downtown Denver. Um, there are a lot of buildings around Coors Field, so yeah, I there we could see some broken windows when Ellie De La Cruz comes to Coors Field. Um, Obviously. Let's see, what else do we have here? Bryce Harper and Mike Trout, who were rising prospects together and will uh probably be going to Cooperstown together someday. I mean, they're both going to Cooperstown probably at the same time. But they don't get to play against each other very often. But April 29th to May 1st, Bryce's Phillies and Trout's Angels are going to get together in Anaheim. So that's really cool.
Or will it be Mike Trout's Angels by that point?
Suck it ahead of ourselves.
Spoilers. Get out of there, Mike.
Spoilers. Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility, and oh boy, are we going to talk about that here in a few minutes. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool that if Mike Trout is still an Angel, Bryce Harper and Mike Trout will be playing against each other for the first time in what 7 years it's been. Wow. And then we talked about this last year when MLB announced it. But on June 20th, as part of Juneteenth celebrations, the Giants and the Cardinals are going to be playing at Rickwood Field in Birmingham, Alabama, which is actually the oldest ballpark in the U.S. It's a regular season game between the Cardinals and the Giants, and Rickwood was once home to the Birmingham Black Barons, who in 1948, a 17-year-old Willie Mays. Have you ever heard of this Willie Mays guy, Carson?
I think so, but is it pronounced Mays or Mize, or do we know how it's pronounced?
Yeah, so Willie Mays played for the Birmingham Black Barons back in 1948, and Rickwood Field was their home stadium. Man, this is out of all these things we're talking about, all this cool stuff that's happening in the 2024 season. This is pretty damn near the top of the list for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Super cool way to look at the history of baseball and kind of what we've gone through in order to get here. Super cool moments. Should be something that is that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's going to be really cool. Talk about needing tissues. Oh, here we go. No, the Rickwood Field thing is really cool, don't get me wrong, but this next one, this is my favorite. For obvious reasons. You'll realize why in a moment here, everybody. So my Red Sox are going to be playing in St. Louis for the 20th anniversary of the Red Sox beating the Cardinals to win the 2004 World Series, which came on the heels of their epic comeback against the Yankees in the ALCS and breaking the 86-year curse of the Bambino and all that other good stuff. Yeah, this is one, Carson. I can't believe it's been 20 years. And two, how cool is it? Now, granted, this game will be at the new Busch Stadium. That game in 2004 was at the old Busch Stadium, but still pretty damn cool for the Red Sox and Cardinals to get together. I mean, I don't know how much the Cardinals are going to want to celebrate by having former players there for that, since they lost that World Series, but should still be a cool moment nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about it, and should be something that's very entertaining for all you and your fellow Sox fans out there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be pretty emotional. Of course, Cardinals fans will probably be like, yeah, whatever. And then last but certainly not least, the schedule makers, Carson, have set us up for what could be a just wild, insane, chaotic last weekend of the season. I mean, obviously, it's impossible now in February to know what things are going to look like in September, but some 15 months from now. But here's some of the potential there's some potential here. Here are some of the potentially chaotic, wild matchups the last weekend of the season. We've got the Rays visiting Fenway. We've got the Rangers in Anaheim taking on the Angels. The Reds will be at Wrigley taking on the Cubs. Who knows where the Reds will be? The Padres will be in Phoenix to take on the D-backs. That is those matchups alone, if everything shakes out, a certain way, obviously. Uh Carson, we could be in for the wildest last weekend of a season ever.
Yeah, this last week of the season is lining up to be even one of the best that we'll ever see. And a lot like last year, there could very well be playoff implications going into the final games.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we did see quite a bit of that last year, didn't we?
We did indeed.
We did, yeah. So, man, wow. Yeah. Buckle up, everybody, because yeah, it might be 15 months from now, and that sounds like a really long time, but yeah, that'll be here before you know it. And then of course, last but definitely not least, Carson, the Midsummer Classic, the All-Star Game, will be July 12th through the 16th, in Texas, in Arlington, at Globe Life Field, at the home of the defending reigning World Series champion Texas Rangers.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun. The MLB All-Star weekend and All-Star game is probably my favorite in sports, especially after the debacle that was the NBA All-Star game. But
Man, not you two.
we'll save that for a different day. But
Uh,
yes, All-Star game always a lot of fun to see all those big stars come together.
yeah. And I was curious because when I saw that it was going to be in Texas, well, I mean, I think we knew last year. They announced it last year or the year before maybe, that it was going to be in Texas. But that piqued my curiosity. How many times has the little bit of trivia here for you? How many times have the defending World Series champions hosted the following year's All-Star game?
Ooh,
Anybody? Bueller.
I mean, it can't be
Anyone?
very many times. I'm gonna say 3.
Wow. Actually, you hit the nail right on the head. It has been exactly the Texas Rangers, when the Rangers host this year's All-Star game. It will be the third time in Major League Baseball history that the defending World Series champions hosted the next year's All-Star game. 3 times.
I never get those right. Woohoo!
Good. Nicely done. I mean, granted, the World Series has been going on a lot longer than the All-Star game, like 30 years, I think, or something like that. The World Series has been happening since, 1903. And the All-Star game, I think, started in the All-Star game started in like the 30s, late 20s, early 30s. So there was a little bit of a gap there, but yeah, only 3 times. Which is pretty cool, actually. And I mean, that Texas is going to be rocking, for the All-Star, for the home run derby and the All-Star game. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I thought that was an interesting little tidbit. All right. So Carson and I were talking about this before we came on the air. We were talking about how much we've struggled with our picks. Yeah. But we're gonna press on. We're gonna start with our American League picks. So we've picked. I think both of us have picked. We picked our division winners. We picked our wild cards. Our pennant winners. And then some of the awards. The Cy Young, the MVP, all that fun stuff. So let's start in the. Let's run through these. Let's go down the list of our picks for our division winners and our wild cards. Let's start in the American League. We'll just sort of run through these and then we'll dive deeper into this. Let's start in the American League East. If you'd like to do the honors.
Yeah, so in the East, I'll kind of work my way up from 5 to 1.
Nice.
I think that this division is going to be an absolute dogfight to the very end. Even as I kind of look at it now, I could still, I think, flip my number 5 team to my number 1 and be happy with that. I think all 5 of these teams are going to finish above 500. I don't think there's a single team in this division that'll fall below 500. This division, especially in the AL, was probably the division I struggled the most with picking, and therefore is probably my most controversial. So, without further ado, in the 5th spot, I have the Toronto Blue Jays. In the 4th spot, I have your Boston Red Sox. In the 3rd spot, I have the Tampa Bay Rays. In the 2nd spot, I have the New York Yankees.
Oh, thank God.
And in repeating as division champions, I have the Baltimore Orioles. But I don't think it'll be by as big a margin this year.
For a second, I thought you were going to pick the Yankees to win the division. And we were going to have words. No, I think you're spot on. I think that division is, I mean, it was brutal last year. It's going to be even more brutal this year. Yeah. And did you hear that all of you so-called Red Sox fans who have been trashing on our favorite team? I'll save that for later, because boy, do I have thoughts on that. Yeah, no, I thought making these picks last year was tough. This year it was freaking impossible. And like Carson said, I've gone back and forth, I've flip-flopped, I've moved teams around. But ultimately in the AL East, Carson, I also settled on the Baltimore Orioles. I don't think the addition of Corbin Burns can be understated at all. That's a huge get for the Orioles. And I'm expecting the Orioles to take a step forward after their success of last year. So moving on to the AL Central. No surprise here for me, because this was actually, the Central might have been my easiest pick. Because although I think the Kansas City Royals are one of the most improved teams in baseball, and I think they had they sort of quietly had a really good offseason. Carson, I am going with your Minnesota Twins as my Central Division champs.
Yes, as am I. Despite how I kind of feel about some of the comments and things that have been made by the front office in regards to this offseason, and the fact that we've kind of stood pat and let a lot of good players get away, I still feel like this division, aside from the Twins, is kind of an absolute crapshoot. And I feel like it's still our division to lose. I don't disagree with you about the Kansas City Royals. I've got them finishing 3rd in my predictions in the division. I think they've had a really good offseason. I think that their young core is going to continue to grow. Obviously, locking Bobby Witt up to that massive contract was huge for them as well.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I still think it's the Twins division to lose, which, if history has shown anything, is very possible. But right now, I've got the Twins as the AL Central champs.
I mean, I agree with you. I think it's the Twins division to lose, and I picked the Twins. But talk about flip-flopping. I went back and forth between the Twins and the Royals a fair few times. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see the Royals win that division. So, all right, which brings us last but certainly not least to the American League West. Oh boy. The East was tough. The Central was pretty easy. The West was really tough too. Um, I yeah, I flip flopped on this one quite a bit too. But ultimately, and I have to be honest with you, Carson, and all of you. Um, this might be this might be the pick that I have the least confidence in. Because well, I'll just put it out there. I p- I picked the Texas Rangers to win the AL West. Um, but and I'll get more into this when we start talking about playoffs and who we think's going to the World Series and everything. But Carson, the
Playoffs.
playoffs, there it is. There's the first one of the season, everybody. And many more to follow. No, I mean the Rangers are the defending champs. Obviously they had a great season last year. But it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough going at the beginning of the season for the Rangers, Carson. They have some injury problems. Um, they're gonna have to weather the storm a little bit to start the season. They've got Jonah Heim who's injured. They've got Jacob deGrom. They've got they've got Scherzer. I mean, we're looking at a scenario where the Rangers aren't going to have these guys back. They're not going to have them for opening day. They might not have them back until the All-Star break. So it's going to be tough going for the Rangers. They're going to have to weather the storm at the beginning of the season. But I think ultimately, I think they do still have enough to win the West again this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, the West, it was really a toss up between three teams.
Mhm.
Because let's be honest, if the Oakland Athletics contend for the American League West title, I will I will buy every single possible piece of Oakland Athletics merchandise. Like I just don't see it happening. Same thing for the Angels, especially now that Otani's gone.
Yep.
Um, but I ended up settling. You're this will probably get a groan out of my co-host. But
You
I
didn't.
did end up settling on the Houston Astros
Ugh.
to win the division. Talking about additions that cannot be overstated, AJ. I think the addition of Josh Hader to
Yep.
this bullpen
It's a big one.
absolutely cannot be overstated.
Yep.
Um, it was a deal I think that kind of shocked the baseball world because nobody really thought that the Astros would want to be in the market. But
Right.
thinking about now, you've got Josh Hader as a closer. You bring in Ryan Presley, moving now to a setup role with Brian Abreu, who has already been in that role and has done a tremendous job. That's a very scary three-headed monster to have to go up against if you're already trailing in a game with one of the
Mhm.
most still electrifying lineups in the game. Not to mention that the rotation is still in a great place. So it's going to be very interesting to kind of see what happens there. But I still have them finishing as the AL West champs.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. The AL West is a toss up between three teams, between the Rangers, the Astros, and the Mariners. Um, the Mariners. I mean, you want to talk about rotations and pitching staffs? They have. I mean, I'd make the case that the Mariners have one of the best pitching staffs in all of baseball. Their offense has been the problem the last couple of years. They've been inconsistent swinging the mats, but again, they went out and got Jorge Polanco. Um, but yeah, no, I think the Rangers weather the storm. I think the Rangers end up taking the West. But it's not going to be easy. Which brings us to the wild cards. Um, and these were tough too. I looked at man. I kind of wish I had kept all the different um what's the word I'm looking for? I kind of wish I'd kept all the different versions of this that I've done over the last couple weeks. Because man, I was all over the place. But wild cards. So the three wild cards. Um, My 3 wild cards in the American League, I'm going the Mariners, no surprise. I'm going the aforementioned Royals because I think, again, one of the most improved teams in baseball, and had a sneaky good offseason. So I'm going wildcard teams. I'm going Mariners, Carson. I'm going the Royals. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going my Boston Red Sox will be back in the playoffs for the first time since 2021.
Wow. Okay. I like
Yeah,
it.
take that, haters.
I like it. Um, so I, along with you, I do have the Mariners being one of my wild cards. Um, so hopefully Dave forgives me for picking the Astros
No,
to win the division.
no way the Mariners don't make the playoffs with that pitching staff and Jorge Polanco in the middle of that lineup. No way.
Yeah, no shot. Um, and then I think very similar to what I had picked last year. I have two AL East teams in the wild card. I
Mm,
have the Yankees and then the Tampa Bay Rays.
mm. I think that's exactly what you picked last year.
I would not be very
I'm pretty
surprised.
sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's man, it's gonna be tough coming out of that. It's gonna be tough coming out of that AL East. Um, but yeah, I it's mind blowing to think that either the Yankees or the Rays might not even make the playoffs. Um, that's just wow, mind blowing. All right, so we will indeed get to our American League champion picks, but first, let's hand out some other hardware, Carson. Let's talk American League Cy Young because I'm going back to your Minnesota Twins, and my AL Cy Young vote goes to Pablo Lopez.
You know, I don't hate that at all. I mean, Pablo Lopez last year, him and Sonny Gray,
Yep,
were
Sonny
two
Gray
of
should have won it last year.
I whole no bias aside, I wholeheartedly agree. But
Garrett Cole, get the frick out of here.
and again, but again, Minnesota bias aside, they were two of the best in the American League, if not the whole of Major League Baseball
Yep.
last year. Um, for my Cy Young pick, as much as I love Pablo Lopez, I'm gonna give it to Corbin Burns.
Oh,
Um,
I like it.
I think he's gonna have a really good first year in Baltimore. Coming into Camden Yards. He'll have a very good young core behind him and a very good lineup to kind of help him to relax a little bit more and pitch the way that Corbin Burns does. Because let's not forget, during his time in Milwaukee, he was for a very good amount of his career has been one of the best in the NL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's going to thrive in Baltimore. I'll be interested to see how he handles the press. I mean, because let's be honest, and this is meant no disrespect to Milwaukee, to the Brewers or their fans, but playing in the smallest market in baseball in Milwaukee compared to playing in one of the biggest and most now Orioles fans have had a taste of the playoffs and playoff success. They're hungry. I'll be really interested to see how Corbin Burns adjusts to handles that pressure. Um, yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with Lopez or Burns for Cy Young. Um, American League MVP. I don't think it's now that Shohei Ohtani's out of the American League. I don't even think it's close. Um, I think I'm going with my boy. I'm going with my boy J Rod Julio Rodriguez. American League MVP this year, Carson. Put it down. Book it.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. Honestly, that was my pick as well. I think he's going to have a really outstanding year. Him and Otani kind of had that two-headed race going
Mm-hmm.
for a while, but now with Shohei out in the National League, I think now is a really good chance for Julio Rodriguez to get that MVP.
Yeah. Um, I mean, 2 years ago, Rookie of the Year, followed it up last year with a Silver Slugger. I mean, yeah, I'm thinking. I don't know, man. I think the sky is the limit for that kid. I'm thinking I've seen some people say a 30-30 season, 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases. I'm thinking more like 40-40.
Yeah, it's very possible.
I think 40 homers, 40 stolen bases, and upwards of, probably 120 RBIs. He's gonna be en fuego. And last but certainly not least, American League Rookie of the Year. This one was pretty easy, kind of a no-brainer for me, anyways. Carson, you got to go Jackson Holiday of the Orioles.
Jackson Holiday is a great pick, but maybe
But
it was because of what I saw in the playoffs from him. But I'm going with Evan Carter of the
oh,
Texas Rangers.
yeah, actually, I know I like that. I like that a lot. Um, yeah, I almost feel like everyone. I almost feel like other players have been lost in the shuffle with all the hype around Jackson Holiday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with very good reason. Jackson Holiday looks to be another tremendous prospect for the Baltimore Orioles organization, but I
Yeah,
don't know, AJ. Maybe it's just the kind of the playoff bias from what I saw from him in the World Series and everything, but
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like this is Evan Carter's award to lose right now.
yeah. I don't think you can go wrong with either one of those guys. Um, all right, so that's it for American League stuff. We will get to our so we'll run through our National League stuff, and then we'll get down to business here with our AL champion, NL champion, and World Series picks. But let's shift gears over to the National League. We'll start in the National League East. Talk about something about the East divisions. I mean, the NL East, you've got the Phillies, you've got the Braves, the Mets, although that may change depending on what's going on with Kodai Senga. Well, we're waiting to hear more on that. Um, don't sleep on the Marlins. Pretty much the only team in that NL East that you could basically write off. Sorry, Nats fans, are the Nationals. But Carson, I went with the Philadelphia Phillies to win the NL East.
Can't go wrong there. Don't necessarily disagree. But I have
But you're
gone with
going to.
I am going to. Yes. I have
He's
gone with the
gonna.
Atlanta Braves. I just feel like there's so much talent on that team. It's just hard for me to pick against them to win that division.
Yeah, I mean the Braves. I don't know, man. Like the Braves after last year. Um, I don't know. I just uh that's so tough. I mean, the Braves and the Phillies. I mean, that's like flip a coin, basically.
It really is.
Both of those teams are just so good. So, the NL East is that's going to be that to me. That figures to be one of the closest races to watch all year. Um, what just brings us to the National League Central. Now last year, ladies and gentlemen, someone bearing a striking resemblance to Carson, um, picked the St. Louis Cardinals to win the NL Central and to win the World Series. And well, we all know how that ended for the Cardinals. Sorry, Cards fans. But this is another. Here we are again. This is another ridiculously stacked division. You've got the Cubs, who are really good, who are coming off a really good year last year. You've got the Cardinals, who are looking to bounce back after that abysmal season a year ago. You got the Cincinnati Reds and Ellie De La Cruz, who damn near squeaked into the playoffs last year. And yeah, they've lost Corbin Burns, but you can't sleep on the Milwaukee Brewers, who went out and got themselves Reese Hoskins. Hello. And even the Pittsburgh Pirates, who started it off last year like a house on fire and you know came crashing back to earth in spectacular fashion. But man, this is one of those divisions they can go. You can put 1 through 5 almost in any order, but ultimately, I almost went Cardinals, and then I remembered I got to be honest. I don't have a lot of faith in the Cardinals after last year. I don't really trust the Cardinals after last year. So my NL Central champion are the Chicago Cubs.
You don't have a lot of faith in the Cardinals. I don't know if I'll ever pick them to win the division again. Yes. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? The Cubs are winning the NL Central. For me right now, in all honesty, this is the Cubs division to lose. I
Wow.
think that
Wow.
I think I'm not as high on Milwaukee as you seemingly are. I think the loss of Corbin Burns is going to be massive. I've got them now. Granted, I've still got them finishing third in the division.
Mm-hmm.
I still think it's going to be a big hit. But yeah, for me right now, I think just with all of kind of the moves and everything that have been made, it seems like a few of these teams in the Central have regressed a little bit more, whereas the Cubs have gotten better.
Better. Yeah.
I think Shota Imanaga coming in to help that rotation out can be huge.
That's big. Yeah.
Depending on which Hector Neris we get.
Mm-hmm.
Do we get the Phillies Hector Neris, who was the most inconsistent pitcher in baseball, or do we get the Astros Hector Neris, who put up a 1.71 ERA last season?
Yeah, that's big. Yeah,
I think, and
wow.
they got Michael Busch from the Dodgers as well, so I think that they made some really great moves. And
Cubs division to lose. Bold statement. I like it. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you. Man, I just I don't know what to expect out of the Cardinals. That's gonna be that's one of my my sort of like really must watch storylines. But is everybody are you all sitting down? Are you all ready for this? Because Carson, it's time for the National League West. And this, my friends, my fellow baseball fans, is the one I had the most fun picking. And you're about to find out why. So last year, an individual bearing a striking resemblance to myself, was not only on the Arizona Diamondbacks bandwagon from the beginning. From spring training, I was on the D-backs bandwagon last year. And then once the rest of you came around and realized just how good that team was, I started driving the D-backs bandwagon. I drove that D-backs bandwagon all the way to the World Series, where, yes, they came up short of their ultimate goal. But in the process, they took down the Dodgers. They took down the Phillies. And despite losing the World Series 4-1, I think gave the Texas Rangers more than they could handle. All they wanted and then some. So, Carson, it should come as absolutely no surprise to anybody. My National League West champions, the Arizona freaking Diamondbacks.
yeah, that the postseason success is great, but there's still a little team that you have famously referred to as the first order of baseball. And you know what? Call me Kylo Ren,
Boo.
because you can
Boo.
call this team the first empire. You can say that they're the new evil empire. You can say that they're the new Yankees. But what you can't deny calling them is talented. And what you can't deny calling them are National League West champions again.
Nope.
Give me the Los Angeles Dodgers.
You know what? I'll let you have that one. Go ahead, Dodgers. Win the division and lose in the first round again, because we all know that's what's going to happen. Because that's what you do. You get to the playoffs and you get force choked in the playoffs. You got swept by the D-backs last year. Come on. No disrespect to the D-backs, by the way, obviously. Dodgers, yeah. The first order. Yeah, you know what? They are the first order because only the 90s Yankees can ever be the 90s and early 2000s Yankees. They earned that evil empire moniker, And the Yankees may have been the evil empire, but at least they had class, and at least you could respect them. I have zero respect. Uh, the, this Dodgers thing that they're building, the first order was a cheap knockoff imitation of the evil empire, and that's what the Dodgers are. They're a cheap imitation knockoff of those Yankees teams.
Disagree. Even you have no respect for even beloved former Red Sox Mookie Betts. I mean, come on.
You know, Mookie's probably the only Dodger that I can even tolerate.
Okay, I'll at least accept that. That's fair.
He's the only one on that team. The rest of them, yeah. Anyways, yeah, Dodgers. Right. National League wild card teams. I've got the Braves because I don't I mean, I think the Braves and the Phillies, like I mentioned, that's a coin flip. They're interchangeable. Wildcard teams, I've got the Braves. Got the Dodgers. But it's okay because the Dodgers are going to lose in the first round again. And as much as I have no idea what to expect out of them and whether they're going to be able to bounce back or not, I've got the St. Louis Cardinals sneaking in as a wild card. Although I would like to go on record as saying I think the Cardinals. I'm going with the Cardinals get that last spot, but I think that spot could very easily go to the San Francisco Giants.
Fair enough. At least you've got the Dodgers in the playoffs this year. At least it's not like last year where you wildly predicted that they wouldn't even make the postseason. So, yeah, for my wild card teams, I've got your beloved Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
I have the Philadelphia Phillies, and in my third wild card spot, I have the Cincinnati Reds.
Ooh, I like it. Yeah. I mean, they were about as. I mean, the Reds last year were about as close to getting into the playoffs as you could be without actually getting in. If they had another. If they had another, like another series or another few games, they might have been able to pull it off. So yeah, no, I like it. I like the Reds. That last, I mean, we saw some wild card races last year. I think we're in for more of the same this year, maybe even more because, maybe not so much in the American League, but the National League. Because there are just so many good teams. I mean, you've got the Reds, you've got the Dodgers, not the Dodgers. Sorry, you've got the Reds, you've got the Giants, you've got the Pirates, who could have a say in that. You got the Marlins. I mean, that's 4 teams right there that could sneak into that last one of those wild cards for us in the National League. All right, National League hardware. I know you're all. Come on, let's get to the World Series. It's coming. It's coming, guys. I promise. See, there you go. On deck, World Series picks. National League hardware. Cy Young Award. Seen a lot of Spencer Strider. But and I've seen a lot of Spencer Strider and some other names floated. But Carson, I'm going with my boy down in the desert, Zach Gallen, as my NL Cy Young winner this year.
Yeah, certainly don't hate the pick. I'm gonna go ahead and take Aaron Nola of the
I like it.
Philadelphia Phillies.
I like it.
Again, like you said, seeing a lot of Spencer Strider and rightfully so.
Well, yeah,
I think he'll certainly be in contention once again this year. But yeah, give me Aaron Nola.
Yeah, hard to pick against Aaron Nola. NL MVP. I did pick a member of the Dodgers, but not the one everybody thinks. Mookie Betts, my NL MVP this year.
That's a very good pick.
I feel like everyone expected me. I feel like everybody is gonna just hop on the Shohei Express, but I don't know. I mean, Mookie's Mookie, man. Like, I don't know. I guess it could go either way.
Mookie is indeed Mookie. I think hopefully this will make up for my apparent transgression of picking the Dodgers to win the division. I'm taking Corbin Carroll.
Oh yeah, I like it. That's it. Yeah, I mean Corbin Carroll. I mean, talk about had somebody who had a ridiculous season last year, and figures to be even better this year. I think Corbin Carroll will get some serious consideration. Um, but I feel like if the Dodgers are going to go the places the Dodgers want to go, Mookie's going to be the one to drive them there. So, and then Rookie of the Year, again, maybe a little controversial, but hey, when have I ever shied away from that? A lot of people, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, which sure, I mean, I can't really argue with that. But I'm going with Young-Hoo Lee of the San Francisco Giants as my NL Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he was certainly someone in contention for me as well. But yeah, I'm kind of going with the majority here. I'm going with Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I think when it's all said and done, I think it will be Yamamoto, especially if he has the type of season that everyone thinks he can. So, yeah, that'll be an interesting race for sure. All right, everybody, here we go. We've picked our division winners. We've picked our wild cards. We've handed out the hardware. This is it. Our World Series picks. So, how do we want to do this? Do we want to go AL champion, NL champion, World Series?
Yeah,
All in
that's a
one.
good.
Okay. All right.
I think that's a good way to go. Yeah.
Okay. I'll let you do the honors, sir. After you.
I know you're only doing this because you're probably rethinking your picks and letting me go first.
I'm waffling a bit on my on my AL pick. I'm waffling a bit. My NL pick, rock solid, and my World Series pick, rock solid. My AL pick is where I'm waffling a bit.
You know, AJ, for me, this World Series pick has been about trying to decide between the pick that my brain wants and the pick that my
Mm-hmm.
heart wants.
Mm-hmm.
Because my heart wants to make a very radical World Series. My brain is telling me number one or two seed versus number 1 or 2 seed. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, as much as I love picking with my brain, I tried to do that last year and look where it got me.
Yeah,
So
you jinxed the Cardinals.
I really did. So, you know what? This year, we're going to go ahead and give my heart a try and see what happens. My
Uh-huh.
AL representative in the World Series
Oh boy.
is none
Mm.
other than.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, this will make Mr. Dave Sims a very happy man because I am picking the Seattle Mariners.
Oh no. Oh.
I can't deny it. I can't deny it. That rotation's
You
so good, and Jorge Polanco. I
I
want
mean,
Jorge to win a World Series,
do
man.
not get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen. I have picked the Seattle Mariners to win the World Series the last 2 years, but I felt like I was jinxing them a little bit. So here's hoping now that it's Carson putting it out there into the universe that it is not a jinx, because I have to be honest, other than my Red Sox winning another World Series, which, that may or may not happen anytime soon. Other than that, seeing the Seattle Mariners and Mariners fans win the World Series, nothing would make me happier. So I approve.
Well, I'm glad that you approve because this next one is either going to
Oh
get
boy.
one of two reactions.
Here
So
we
we'll see
go.
how this goes. I will spoil it a little bit. I have
Whoever
not.
could Carson have picked to win the National League?
I will spoil it a little bit.
But
It's not the Dodgers.
what?
It's not the Dodgers. I have learned from the past 2 seasons. I'm done with until they can prove something to me in the playoffs under Dave Roberts. It's not the
Mm-hmm.
Dodgers. So I had said that this was a heart pick because I tried giving my brain a go, and look where that's got me, especially with the Dodgers. There
Mm-hmm.
is a team in the National League that I feel is following a blueprint that we saw last season
Mm-hmm.
with a certain team out in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that if they make it into the postseason, I think they could follow the exact same blueprint
Mm-hmm.
as the team out in the desert. So, heart don't fail me. For my National League champions, give me the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, I love it. 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 Um, Mind you, producer Tasha is not going to be happy with you. Just putting that out there.
I
She
know
picked,
she's not. I'm sorry, Tasha.
yeah, she did not, no. But I love it. Man, if talk about fan bases who are just thirsting for a championship or any kind of success, the Reds are right at the top of that list. No, I like it. So we've got Mariners Reds in the World Series.
Mariners Reds. Now,
And
as far as the pick, man, at this point, I feel like I could flip a coin. Um,
that would be
I
a hell
do
of a World
think
Series.
I will say I think this series would go at least at the very least 6.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think it would be a very short series.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Ladies and
waiting.
gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, call me AJ. I'm picking the Seattle Mariners to win the World Series.
2 years I've been on the Mariners, and I finally got through to him. Yeah, that man, that would be one hell of a World Series. That would be so much fun to watch. Julio Rodriguez and Ellie De La Cruz, and a little duel on the base paths. Two of the most exciting young superstars in baseball. Oh man, I love it. I can find no fault with that. Um, I am shocked that you did not pick the Dodgers. Shocked.
I've
But
you
also,
know
but
I've learned.
also, I was gonna say, I'm also proud of you for finally realizing that come playoff time, the Dodgers disappear faster than I don't know. I had a good metaphor, but I lost it. Um,
Disappear faster than your memory gets wiped in Men in Black.
yeah, right. There you go. All right. So Carson has picked the Mariners to win the World Series. So here we go. Now I mentioned that I feel like I've jinxed the Mariners the last few years. So Mariners fans, Dave, if you're listening, I'm sorry. But for my American League champion, Carson, I am going with the Baltimore Orioles.
Okay, certainly a pick I can respect. Absolutely.
I think the addition of Corbin Burns, is makes an already good team even better. Yeah, I think the Mariners. I think the Orioles are going to build on what they did last year. I got to be honest. I almost went Rangers, but and I know I said earlier that we were talking about how the Rangers and the injuries they're dealing with and how they're going to have to kind of weather their storm to start the season and all this other stuff. And I do think they will, and I do think they win the West and get into the playoffs. But I think it ends up being too much to overcome, and they don't quite get back to the World Series. So, yeah, I'm going Orioles in the AL. Do I even have to put my National League pick out there? I don't even think. I mean, you all already know, because I said last year that they were close, and they were one or two pieces away. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Arizona Diamondbacks this winter went out and got those pieces. They got Jock Peterson, who has a veteran presence, which is something that they were lacking last year. And they went out and get Eduardo Rodriguez, who is, as crazy as it sounds, maybe one of the most underrated pitchers in all of baseball, who makes that rotation and pitching staff even better than it was last year. So my NL champion, Carson, Los Serpientes.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'd love to see that World Series. Talk about a World Series of the
Orioles
battle of the
D-backs,
game's future. Corbin Carroll, Adley Rutschman, like Alec
Jackson
Thomas, like
Holiday.
Jackson Holiday, like Gunnar Henderson. Like talk about
Yep.
a who's who of the next
The next gen. Yep.
chapter of
Yep.
MLB.
Exactly. So Orioles D-backs in the World Series. And again, I don't even think I really have to put this out there. I think it would be one, that would be a crazy fun World Series to watch. And two, that's a World Series. I feel like those are two really evenly matched teams. And we would probably be looking, I think we're looking at a 6 or 7 game World Series. But ultimately, the Arizona Diamondbacks bring the trophy back to the desert, and your 2024 World Series champions, ladies and gentlemen, as predicted by me, the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Okay. I mean, there it is, everybody.
I said they were close last year. They were really close last year, and I feel like they did exactly what they needed to do to get over the hump, to take that next step this year. So there you go. Mariners and Diamondbacks are World Series picks. I got to be honest, not at all what I expected out of us.
I got to be honest, me too.
I'm proud of us. You didn't pick the Dodgers. I didn't pick the Mariners.
So proud. We've grown so much.
We've learned, ladies and gentlemen. We've learned. Yeah. So there you go. World Series picks. Let's so I guess we can bookmark this. And we'll revisit. We'll go back at the end of the season and see how well we did, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah, this will be. It's always fun to see how our World Series picks stack up. Although I think I set the record last season for World Series
The worst
pick
one ever.
For World Series pick that ended very quickly, but
yeah. I mean the Cardinals were out of it pretty quick, weren't they?
yes, indeed.
And on that terrible disappointment, let's play some buy or sell. First up, Carson, buy or sell. The Royals are the most improved team in the American League.
Honestly, I buy it. I have been thoroughly impressed with what the Royals have been able to do this season, or this off season, I should say, and kind of making them seem like, at the very least, a team where you think about, well, maybe they could make the playoffs again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, I don't think enough can be said about the extension of Bobby Witt. I think that was a huge move, both figuratively and literally, because, oh my goodness, did they sign him to an absolutely massive contract? What was it, like 13 years or something like that?
Oh
I
yeah,
think,
he's gonna be a Kansas City Royal for life.
which, as he should be, like,
Oh yeah,
absolutely, as he should be. They made a bunch of really good additions. Michael Waka, Seth Lugo for their rotation, Chris Stratton as well. They got Kyle Wright in a trade, Nick Anderson. They've really done a lot of good work to at the very least improve. And at the same time, a lot of these guys, if the Royals are out of it, some of these guys could make great assets at the trade deadline too, to help bolster their prospects if it comes to that. So 100% I buy this.
yeah. I really, I kind of tried to rack my brain on this. I'm like, okay, which team in is there another team in the American League that got better than the Royals? And while I think my Red Sox are very much improved, although some so-called Red Sox fans don't agree with me, no, I think the Royals are the most improved, and I was both, shocked and really happy about the Bobby Witt Jr. Contract.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, he's a Kansas City Royal now for life,
Yeah,
which he should be.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm really glad the Royals were like, yeah, we want to keep this dude. Because why wouldn't you? But yeah, no, the Royals had a sneak. They sort of quietly had a really good offseason. And they're if man, if I'm a Kansas City fan, I'm really excited about my team this year. All right, next up, buy or sell. Blake Snell will be the last free agent to sign.
I really don't want to buy this because it seems like there's been steam with the Yankees, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna buy it. And forgive me here, but the fact that I have to that we're even remotely talking about this is absolutely infuriating. How
Mm-hmm.
are we gonna let a NL Cy Young winner sit in free agency? Um, Scott Boras, in case you're
Yeah.
listening, I blame you
Yep.
for causing all of this crap.
The
Because not
Boris
only do you
Four.
have Blake Snell, you've got Cody Bellinger, who's also out there. Like it's gotten to the point where I looked on the Athletic, AJ, and there's an article about the best remaining non-Scott Boras free agents. Because there's so many Scott Boras free agents that are still out there. Because Scott Boras apparently just loves to make teams wait and wait and wait and wait.
Yeah,
So
he's got who? He's got Snell, he's got Jordan Montgomery, he's got Cody Bellinger, and who's the other one? Is it Matt Chapman?
I think Matt, I
I
think
think it's
Matt
Matt
Chapman's
Chapman.
under his
Yeah, because
representation.
people keep calling it the Boris Four. So I think
Yeah,
Chapman's the last one. Yeah.
yeah, but it's just ridiculous. And I mean, never thought in my lifetime I would support Rob Manfred, but free
Uh,
agency deadline isn't sounding too bad. But yeah, getting
yeah.
getting back to the issue at hand, I'll buy this.
Um I mm, I think I'm gonna sell this one. I mean, clearly the Boris Four, as they're being referred to, are gonna be the last ones to sign. Which is ridiculous. But I think out of those, I think Jordan Montgomery is the last one to sign. Because I think I mean, Blake Snell is gonna get himself paid. He's gonna, and as well he should. But I think Jordan Montgomery uh ends up having the biggest price tag. Um, and I think he's the last one to sign.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with that. I mean, it's I think either one of them. I think it's going to come down to those two.
One of them, yeah,
Um, I
yeah.
mean, I would think now that I think about it, considering there's actually steam with Blake Snell now, that maybe it's going to be Jordan Montgomery, but who knows? It's Scott Boras.
Yeah. Yeah. Boris is yeah. Screw Scott Boris. All right, buy or sell. Mike Trout deciding to stay with the Angels.
I buy it because I respect it, but at the same
Mm.
time, Mike, buddy, we got to have a talk here. Like, I respect your loyalty to the organization, and I respect at least that the fact that you're like, hey, they got to do something, or potentially that time's going to come. I respect you at least saying that, but buddy, come on, you're one of the best players that we've ever seen, and your talents are being wasted because they can't surround you with superstars, and when they do, they leave because you can't get anywhere in the postseason. Your teammates with a guy who tried to shorten the season, for God's sake, and who's played less than 100 games with the organization. Like,
uh
Mike, buddy, I'll buy it because I respect it, but for the love of God, get out of there.
mhm. Um yeah, I actually just blogged about this the other day. By the way, eighth-inning-stretch.com/blog in case you're little promotion there. Um And basically, the gist of it was, I respect Mike Trout's loyalty to the fans. Um, but I can't. I'm sorry, I can't get on board with loyalty to the Angels because the Angels have done. The Angels haven't done anything. Uh, like you said, the Angels haven't done a damn thing to put a team around Mike Trout. I mean, for all those years that they had Trout and Shohei Ohtani, they did absolutely squat. They didn't even make the playoffs. They just flat out refuse to spend money. And now you've got Mike Trout, who's, you know, his contract I think runs through what 20 I forget. His contract runs through like 2029 or 2030 or something. And I mean by the time his contract with the Angels is up, he's going to be pushing 40 and basically at the end of the road. Yeah, no, I have to sell this. I admire loyalty. Loyalty in pro sports is so rare, and a player sticking with one team their whole career it doesn't happen a lot anymore. But and I respect that Mike Trout's being loyal to Angels fans, Carson. But I can't get on board with being loyal to an organization who has quite literally done nothing to build a team around you. And I know he said, seeking a trade would be the easy way out. It's okay to take the easy way out in this case, I think. If I'm Mike Trout and an tempting offer comes along, if I get a chance to go play for a team, a contender, and a chance to win a championship, I think you got to take it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, we'll see, because at this point, I'd be more intrigued by what a Mike Trout trade offer would look like at this point in his career. But
Yeah.
I don't know, Mike. I just like you said. I think you summed it up perfectly. Like, loyalty to the fact that he's that loyal to the fans, I respect.
Yep.
But it's the loyalty to the organization when the organization clearly hasn't been showing him the loyalty back to try and put a competitive team around him is the part that's
Yep.
frustrating.
Yeah, I just I get it, but come on, Mike. I mean, I don't think any of us want to see Mike Trout's name on a list of great players who never won a World Series. So, anyway, we'll see what happens with that. And last but not least, buy or sell Bryce Harper's. So Bryce Harper basically said he wants to finish his career in Philly. So buy or sell Bryce Harper's chances of finishing his career with the Phillies.
I absolutely buy it. He's still got a lot of years left on that contract he signed with the Phillies. I mean, I don't see the Phillies moving him anytime soon, because that'd be ridiculous. And plus, very hard to do with the amount of money you'd have to bring back. So, yeah, I 100% buy this.
Yeah, so Harper signed a 13-year contract. Damn. Yeah, so I mean, kind of here we are in a similar situation. Harper will, if my math is right, Harper will be about 39, 40-ish by the time his contract is up. And assuming he retires, assuming he hangs it up at the end of that career. Yeah, I mean, I want to buy this. I really do. I want to buy that Bryce Harper stays a Philly from now until he hangs it up. But all right, I'll buy it conditionally as long as the Phillies are still competitive, as long as the Phillies are still good, as good as they have been the last few years. I think Harper stays. But if, and I'm not saying this will happen, but if things go sideways for the Phillies, and they find themselves in a position, where they're sellers rather than buyers, I think if the right offer comes along, I don't think you. I mean, if you can get a good return for Bryce Harper, I don't think you say no if you're the Phillies, if you're in that position.
Yeah. But again, that's a big if, right?
That's a big if. It is.
That's a
Yeah.
big if.
That's a huge if. I mean, and honestly, I don't see that happening for the Phillies anytime soon. They're built for long-term success. So, I mean, I would love to see Bryce Harper end his career as a Philly. So I don't know. We'll see. So that's buy or sell. Mailbag a little different. So basically what we did was we asked you guys, what are you most looking forward to in 2024 in baseball? And then we kind of sifted through and picked the best responses. And so we're just kind of gonna read these. Yeah, some of these are really good actually. Yeah, we'll just go through these. Clara from Nevada. Yoshinobu Yamamoto's MLB debut. Yeah, I think we're all excited for that. Harper from Texas. Whether or not the Rangers can repeat. Kevin
Well,
from
so
Ohio.
far we don't think so.
Yeah. Kevin from Ohio, the Guardian City Connect jersey. So I'm just gonna read through these and then we'll go back and touch back on these, I guess. Kevin from Ohio, the Guardian City Connect jersey. So the Guardians are one of the teams getting a City Connect jersey this year. Seth from Rhode Island, the release of the new MLB The Show game. I know Carson's with you on that one. Padres versus Dodgers in Seoul, we already talked about. That's from Aaron in Georgia. Hannah from New York, to see if the Dodgers are going to fall flat. Yes, very much that. Jimmy from Louisiana, if the Astros have one more run in them. No, sorry. Jeremiah from Oregon, who this year's surprise team is going to be. It's a good one. And Ella from Arizona, how the D-backs will build on last season's run, which again, we kind of touched on. They're going to build on it by winning the whole goddamn thing, Ella. So get ready for a parade down there in the desert. So I think we can agree Yoshinobu Yamamoto's MLB debut, which I think I read something this morning that he's currently on track to start one of the games in Seoul, which is going to be ridiculous. I think we can agree that we're looking forward to that. Yeah, neither one of us think obviously based on our World Series picks, Carson, neither one of us thinks the Rangers can repeat.
Yeah, based on our World Series picks, we don't see that happening. I don't think either. Or you had them winning the division. I didn't have them in the playoffs at all. So
At all, yeah. Sorry, Harper. Guardian City Connect jerseys. Yeah, I mean, who else is getting 24 City Connect jerseys? Who's getting them this year? So we've got teams getting City Connect jerseys this year: the Guardians, the Tigers, the Dodgers, the Twins, the Mets, the Phillies, the Cardinals, the Rays, and the Blue Jays. So 9 new City Connect jerseys coming in 2024. I mean, I don't know about you, man, but I love the City Connect jerseys. I mean, to varying degrees. Some of them have been really good. Some of them have been a little, whatever. But yeah, I think the City Connect jerseys are cool. Release of the new MLB The Show game. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Carson's with you on that one. Carson, I'm gonna assume that you've already pre-ordered.
I have not pre-ordered as of yet. Working on some getting some funds in order
Nice.
for it, but
Nice.
but absolutely will be getting the game without a shadow of a doubt, and doing what the Twins should have done this offseason. So
yeah, I haven't bought it since 22, so I'm probably gonna get this year's. I'm basically waiting to see if waiting to find out, if it's. I'm pretty much waiting for the reviews, to find out if it's worth the price of admission. Padres, Dodgers, and Seoul, we already kind of talked about. That's gonna be so cool. The first ever Major League Baseball teams to play in Korea. That's gonna be nuts. Yeah, Hannah from New York, to see if the Dodgers are gonna fall flat. Here's hoping. If the Dodgers fall flat again this year, I should warn you all, you'll never hear the end of it from me. I will gloat from now until the end of time if the Dodgers fall flat again this year. Jimmy from Louisiana, if the Astros have one more run in them. Carson, you picked the Astros to win the AL West, but not to go any further than that.
Right. I see. Um,
And I don't
for
even
for
have them in it. I don't even have them in the playoffs. So
for me, I have it. I have the Astros going to the ALCS.
hmm.
Um,
And losing to
with
the
a
Mariners.
nice little AL West matchup between the
Hmm.
Mariners and the Astros.
Yeah, I just age and and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't. No, I don't see the Astros. I think the Astros reign of terror, as it were, is over. Um, Jeremiah from Oregon, who this year's surprise team is going to be. We already talked about the Royals. We talked about the Reds. Um, I was trying to think if there was another. Who was the other? There was another team I talked about when we were talking about our NL wild card teams. Um, I think we all ought to keep an eye on the San Francisco Giants this year, Carson.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think for me, probably the Cincinnati Reds would be my surprise team, seeing as I have them going to the World Series. So
That would be quite a surprise.
yes,
Um,
yes, it would.
that would be quite the surprise if the Reds went to the World Series. But yeah, I think the Reds, the Giants, um, the Royals, uh, the Pirates. I think if the Pirates can, if they start off the way they started off last year and keep it going, I think the Pirates could be. I think there's going to be quite a few actually this year. And then Ella from Arizona, how the D-backs will build on last season's run. I already told that they're going to build on it by winning the whole goddamn thing. They're going to build it. They went to the World Series last year. They're going to build on that this year. They got Jock Peterson. They got Eduardo Rodriguez. They're good to go. You got Zach Gallen. You got Corbin Carroll. You got, Lord Gurriel Jr. The D-backs are ready to rock and roll. So, um, yeah. All right.
Okay, Jake Taylor.
What?
Okay, Jake Taylor. Here's
Oh
what we're
yeah.
gonna do.
Yeah.
Win
There's
the
only
whole.
one thing left to do. Win the whole fucking thing. Yeah, that's it. Yes. Um, but yeah, so that's gonna be oh man, I'm so excited. Um so excited to watch the D-backs. I might have to go check them out when they come here to Colorado to play the Rockies. Um all right, so that was a little bit different for the mailbag. If you guys like that, let us know. We might try to do more of the, sort of like a themed mailbag thing. But honestly, I mean, you guys can, well, here you go. On the screen there for you, if you're watching the stream, drop us a line, 8thinningpod.com/mailbag or 8thinningstretch@gmail.com. And who knows, we might read it on an upcoming episode. Which brings us to the one last thing portion. Cousin, normally our first episode we sort of have our first episode of the season, we kind of have a, hey, baseball's back, we're so excited. And I'm guessing that's where you're going.
Yeah, I mean, to be quite honest, I've kind of struggled with figuring out what my one last thing is because I want it to be about how excited I am to be back behind the mic doing what we do best.
Yep.
But there were like four. I have like four different things that I was kind of thinking about for one
Oh
last
man.
thing. Some being positive, some being negative, but um, some things that had kind of happened in the off season. But there's one thing that I feel I would be doing. Again, we talk about it all the time, especially with non-baseball related issues. We have been blessed with a platform, and I feel I would be doing a disservice to this platform that we have been given to not talk about what happened in Kansas City.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
um,
Yeah.
and bear with me, everybody, because my emotions on this are probably going to range from very sad to angry,
Mm-hmm.
because that is how I feel. Um, for those of you who may not be aware, um, at the Super Bowl parade in Kansas City for the Kansas City Chiefs, a shooting took place that I don't have the exact statistics in front of me, so forgive me if I'm misquoting here, but I believe one person at least died, and then I think 12 were injured um, from the events. But um, I don't know why it is that this one got to me so much. Maybe it's because it was in the world of sports, and which is something that I hold near and dear to my heart. But um, are we done yet? Like, are we done having to talk about these things over and over and over again?
Mm.
Um, and I continue to not be able to fathom the fact that we have to talk about mass shootings. And there were a couple of reactions and clips that I had watched online about this that I think summed it up perfectly. um, Kendrick Perkins on ESPN was talking about it and said it scares me that we are so numb to this by this point, because that should not be normal, which I wholeheartedly agree with. And then the other clip that I saw was from Nick Wright on Fox Sports One,
Mm.
who is a Kansas City Chiefs fan, was at the parade, and is a native of Kansas City. Um, and one of the things that he brought up was, the old saying of everybody is, the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And to his point, he was like, there were good guys there with guns. Like, there were good guys at that parade, but and God bless them for putting their lives on the line and everything. But what is next? When are we finally going to say enough is enough and try and do something? And to all the legislators who may or may not be listening, an extra special little bleep you for continuing to let these kinds of things happen and not doing something about it, because it is a problem, and it's a problem that continuously gets ignored in problem that is continuously ignored, and instead our politicians are arguing about who's woke and who isn't,
Mm-hmm.
which pisses me off to no end. I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. Do your freaking job and protect the citizens who voted for you because they trusted in you. And there are now families in Kansas City whose trust and whose hearts are broken.
Yeah, man. Obviously, I'm with you, behind you 100% there. Um, yeah, I don't know. I wish I had an answer. I wish I had an answer to when are we finally done with this, because, um, and you mentioned talking about representatives and elected officials, and I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I I think the thing we need to be done with is I think the other thing we need to be done with, and we probably should have by now, but we're not, but we need to be done with, is both sides are the same. No, folks, they're not. Both sides are not the same. Um, one side very clearly values life and cares about uh, doing everything they can to make the lives of all Americans better, and the other side just wants chaos and division, and you know, and they don't care. So they don't care about us, and we all know which side which side is which. So, um, yeah. That's a tough act to follow. But anyways, um, on a much lighter note, it's obviously great to be back behind the mic. It's great to be doing this again. It's great, it's exciting to be gearing up for another season with you, Carson, and with all our fans. Um, I've been crossing the days off the calendar. I did just want to mention a couple of quick things. One, I've sort of hinted at it throughout the show so far, talking about Red Sox fans, and there's just been so much negativity towards the Red Sox from fans and from the Boston sports media, which I guess I shouldn't be surprised at, because the Boston sports media, all they care about is creating drama where there is none. Um, talking about people talking about being, furious, and that they're they're done with the Red Sox and all the other stuff because they didn't make the exact moves this offseason that you wanted them to, like signing Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell or whoever else. Let me just just for a second, the Red Sox, the goal of every offseason is for a team to get better. And God damn it, the Red Sox got better. They went out and got Lucas Giolito, who is a really good freaking pitcher, by the way, and is a drastic upgrade. No disrespect to Chris Sale, but is a drastic upgrade over Chris Sale, who, let's be honest, is nearing the end of his career. Lucas Giolito is going to be a stud in that rotation. They went out and got Tyler O'Neill, who is a underrated offensive player, and he's going to be an underrated part of that lineup. And they got Vaughn Grisham. And guess what? The offseason is not over yet. There's still time for them to sign other players. But I am so done with all the negativity. I'm so done with all the, oh, well, why haven't they signed Montgomery? But you know what? Even if they signed Montgomery right now and paid him, and gave him, some multi-year big money contract, guess what? You'd all be complaining about that instead. Oh, they overpaid him. They gave him too many years. You're never happy. The fact is, the 2024 Red Sox will be drastically improved over the 2023 Red Sox. I have complete faith that they're going to go out there and play their asses off. And I have them as one of my wild card teams in the American League. I have complete confidence that they're good enough to get into the playoffs. And I mean, we all know once you're in the playoffs, anything's possible. But to all of you who are, oh, I'm done with the Red Sox, they should sell the team, yada, 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 all this negative crap you've all been throwing out there into the universe. I was mad at first, and I engaged with some of you, but I've reached the point where I'm like, if that's how you feel about the team, there you go. There's the door. Goodbye. See ya. Go be freaking Yankees fans. Go root for the Yankees. Don't want you. Don't need you. And your toxic BS about our favorite team. See ya. And the other thing, real quick, I wanted to mention today, ladies and gentlemen, is the 44th anniversary of the Miracle on Ice, the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team's stunning, huge, colossal, massive upset victory over the Soviet Union, which at the time was the best hockey team on the planet. A bunch of college kids, mostly from Boston and Minnesota, obviously under the leadership of the late great Herb Brooks, pulled off what to me is the biggest upset in sports history, the greatest sports moment of the 20th century, maybe the greatest sports moment of all time. Pulled off the biggest of upsets. And maybe the most unlikely upset ever. And what was a great moment for them, for the players, for the coaches, for the fans, for our country at a time when we really freaking needed it. I feel like a lot of people, either don't know or forget all the stuff that was going on at the time. The Soviets had just invaded Afghanistan. The Cold War was pretty much at its coldest. And here comes this ragtag bunch of college kids coached by Herb Brooks, who, not only they were sure they won a hockey game and they won a gold medal, but they did so much more than that. And obviously everybody knows the movie Miracle, the Disney movie that came out in 2004, which is a good watch. But I'd also recommend the ESPN 30 for 30 documentary. It's called Of Miracles in Men, and it's the story of that game and the aftermath told from the Soviet perspective, with interviews, from players like Boris Mikhailov and Slava Fetisov and all those and a lot of those guys. And it's a really interesting, unique perspective on that momentous event. And it's been 44 years, and unfortunately, Coach Brooks, he didn't get to see the movie, but I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that he's smiling down.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And also I do want to, I didn't plan for my first one last thing to not be baseball related, but
it's all good, man. It happens.
But again, like I kind of said at the opening, and like we've said on the show many times before, we've been blessed with a platform, and felt like today I needed to use it. So there will be plenty of baseball related one last things in the future for those who don't necessarily like it when I go off script for my one last thing. So don't you worry.
But here's the amazing thing about that. If they don't like what you're talking about, one last thing, you can turn us off. You do realize that, right? You can turn us off. But just keep in mind that even if you are one of those individuals and you do turn us off, there are far more of you who appreciate us doing that, what Carson just did, than don't. So there, put that in your pipe and smoke it. And that's all we got for you. That's the end of the line for our first episode of the season. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Everyone who listened on the live stream, everyone who's listening after. We definitely, even though we're doing this live stream, we don't want to forget about all of you listening, on your favorite podcast platform or watching this after. For anyone that is watching live stream or otherwise, right up there, you can't see me, but I'm pointing in the top right corner, that QR code up there. Scan that, donate what you can to help us out, keep us bringing you the best indie baseball content this side of home plate. Like, subscribe, follow, all that fun stuff. Oh yeah, there it is. It's on the screen for you now. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time. For more, go to eighthInningPod.com. That's where you'll find all of our content, all of our links, all that fun stuff. And that's all we got for you. So everybody have an awesome weekend, and do not forget, Sunday we are going to be with Sanye, of the vice president of the Bhutan Baseball and Softball Association. You guys definitely do not want to miss that. That's a wrap. Everyone have an awesome weekend, and we'll be back with you guys on Sunday.